Hi, everyone. So, how are you feeling now that you unmask yourself and let your true, authentic self shine? It's so good to see you. So great to see what you shared in the Facebook group and just ways that we let our hair down, the ways that we unmasked ourselves, the ways that we shared authentically and vulnerably, and just feeling free to be ourselves. So it's so great to see you. And we are going to go deeper. We are going to, today definitely is a shifting down into a deeper aspect of this challenge. So, and ourselves, right? So today is day 3, and I've titled it Skeletons in the Closet, Shame, Shadow, and Judgment. So if that tells you anything, tells you we're going deep. So I love Erin Telford is a breathwork facilitator, and I've really just been enjoying her work lately. And she says, our culture's insistence on making some emotions negative and some emotions positive completely ignores the elegance and nuance of the emotional palette we've been given as people. Labeling emotional states as good or bad is problematic and leads to shame, self-isolating, guilt, and diagnosis that are made too quickly and with lack of empathy and understanding of what it means to be truly human. We need time to feel and people to witness us, to sit with us and normalize pain as part of what we will experience in this life. We will go through trials and we will suffer at some point. This is part of the human curriculum. And there is nothing wrong and nothing to be fixed when those teachings come. I love that quote so much because it's so true that we think that we have to have this perfect life and that if we do everything X, Y, and Z, that everything will be beautiful all the time in our life. And it's not true. I mean, we're going to go through hard times. We're going to have heartbreak. We are going to go through anger, grief, sadness, rage, depression. All of those things are part of the human experience, and we will feel them at some point in our life. And I think too, the point is, it's not about not feeling that. Like, it's a beautiful life with tragedy, with trauma, with heartache. All of it paints depth. I mean, we all learn from our hardships. So, so it's also too being at peace with that. And not bypassing the pain. So spiritual bypassing is definitely a thing that people do, especially obviously in spiritual communities, but as well with, in general, people will bypass. They'll numb, they'll disassociate, minimize. Oh, it was no big deal. Like maybe you were sexually abused one time, some family member touched you inappropriately. Oh, it was no big deal. And it's like, yeah, it is a big deal. Yes, it's important to feel it. Yes, it's okay for you to be angry. It's okay for you to be sad. It's okay for you to feel betrayed. So, making sure that we give time and space for our pain to be felt and processed through our body and through our emotions, our emotional body. So this is something I'm really huge on. It's something I am going through at the moment to learn. The lesson is to not bypass. Mainly my mom and her side of the family loves to bypass, loves to put his smile on and everything's fine. Everything's fine. And you're like dying inside. So just to remind yourself that the pain is normal, trauma and going through hardship in life is going to happen. It's just part of it. So day 3, what we're going to do today is, really talk about some shame. So the quickest way to disarm shame is to speak it out loud, or to, bring it out of the shadow, like expose it, and to own it, instead of like whispering, this happened, if something happened to you, for example, like, if, your family members are going around talking about something that happened to you or to another family member, and it's all in hush hush whispers, like to just call it out and say what happened. That exposes it, brings it to the light of day. So, also judging ourselves. So when we judge ourselves for how we feel, like I should be over this breakup by now, pull it together. Like maybe you're having a challenging day, your child was sick, and you have a presentation for work, and you feel really emotional, and you're crying in the bathroom before your presentation, telling yourself to pull it together. And it's like, you know what? You're exhausted. You're maxed out. And how can you be more loving? How can you be more kind? How can you say, it's okay. I understand that you're tired. You're exhausted. You need support. This is not your best day, and that's okay. So how can we be our own best friend? How can we also be, kind and compassionate to ourselves? Saying things to ourselves like snap out of it, pull yourself together. I mean, that just is so damaging, right? So if we judge ourselves, and if we judge specifically if we judge our emotions, then we're not allowing ourselves to fully move through them, to fully process them, and to get all the lessons and the gems out of that experience. So, also Aaron goes on to say, incorporating the shadow by identifying and owning and loving the pieces of you that have been declared unlovable. So what parts of you have you declared unlovable? Where do you feel shame? Where do you feel judged? Where do you feel unlovable? What parts of you are unlovable? So some examples might be parts of your body that are too fat or too thin, less than in some way. Debt. Maybe you have credit card debt or student loan. Maybe you have bankruptcy. Addictions. And addictions can come in so many forms, to drugs, to alcohol, to shopping, to social media, to food, to sex, to, there's so many, I'm blanking on the rest, but addictions, sexually transmitted diseases, clutter in our homes, hoarding, aging, depression, anger, rage, irritation, frustration. Maybe you worked as a stripper in the past or presently. Cheating on a partner, an affair. Losing your temper with your children or spouse, or friend, or colleague, or boss, or somebody in your life, or a stranger. Sexual abuse or rape. Suicide attempts. Abortions, miscarriages, infertility. So this challenge can be tough, so be gentle with yourself. Share what you are ready to share. There's no need to force or make yourself do something that you're not feeling comfortable with. If you feel better to just write it in your journal, that's fine. Or, just whatever you're ready for, whatever's ready to be shared. Also, another thing I want to add to this is write everything that you feel judged or ashamed of, the parts of you that you declare unlovable, and then burn it. So in a safe space, like outside, write everything down on a piece of paper and burn it. Or if you live in a city and you can't really go outside to burn it, then find a big like pot that you cook soup in or something, or the sink, someplace that's safe. You don't want to start a house fire. So someplace that's safe, but write it all down and then burn it. And why we do that is because the element of fire is really powerful. Its main thing that it does is transform, transmute. So everything you write on that paper, you're transmuting it and changing it into something new. So fire's so good about clearing and purifying. And so I highly recommend doing that as well. So thank you for your shares today. Thank you for opening and being vulnerable to whatever degree you feel ready for. And also maybe this is something you want to share with a close friend or family member or partner, or just again with yourself. So just whatever you're ready for, we honor where you are, and thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.